Hopefully we'll be done. Welcome everyone to the July 11th special Select Board meeting work session. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Is there any public participation for tonight's meeting? Mr. Andrews.
Just a question on the agenda. I didn't see anywhere listed on the agenda.
Sorry.
So what quite a lead-in.
Now, I didn't see anything on the agenda for the ratification discussions for the fire chief that was discussed at the last meeting was going to be on tonight.
I thought, pardon me, but I thought we were only going to discuss the fire chief job description at tonight's meeting, not a full ratification of the position.
Is there a date when the board is going to take up the issue of ratification?
The board hasn't spoken about that yet.
So at this point, there's no time frame for that?
At this point, I think the motion was made that Todd would be acting chief until we did have that actual discussion. Is that your understanding?
That is from the minutes.
Yes,
From me.
Okay. Anything else? Hearing none, let's move on to the approval of minutes for the 20th and the 27th. Starting obviously with the 20th.
I have one on the 20th, a remark.
I do too.
On page 5, last paragraph, it says, Hal spoke with David about West Road. She thought the road ended at Brooks Road. It's at Brooks Road.
I thought it might be, but
A-D.
AD.
And also, on page 6, first or second paragraph, doesn't matter, but I did state that we should wait for Mary Lynn to get here before we spoke of the bids, and that wasn't in there. Trust me, it'll make a difference.
On page 2, I don't have a comment on the content, I just have a question. There's a sentence that says, for further information or exact wording, please refer to the DVD labeled Select Board Meeting June 20th, available in the town library. Are you now bringing those to the
I am.
town? Okay, I needed that clarification.
Yep,
That's
I am.
perfect. Thank you.
And we have several to catch up with them. I think they're missing quite a few, so,
They're missing, I think, 2 months.
yeah.
I
I
have
went back
those.
looking for some today, and I didn't have
I
them.
have those. I've been trying to put little sleeves on them. If you see the sleeves and all
Yeah.
those things, I
Yeah.
just haven't had the time to print those sleeves and jacket them. That's all I had for this one.
The only thing I would say is, and I don't want you to correct it, but just to be careful, is you go back and forth between Mike and Michael for my name, and it's kind of like just to choose one and then just be...
In the motions, it should read Michael.
Okay, and then there's other places where it would be...
It would be, I usually use last names. Did you see place where I
Yeah, it
put
was... That's,
first
you know,
name?
yeah.
I'll check for that.
And it's just, and don't worry about it, it's just for a future issue.
Okay.
You know, you could say I'm Michael and he's Mike, or, you know, just to make it so it's clear.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Howe.
I move we accept the minutes dated June 20th, 2011, as corrected.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes dated June 20th, 2011 as corrected. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? On to the 27th. I have one spelling correction on page 4. Under the general discussion piece, you refer to Jim Kane. That's K-A.
Yeah, I don't have anything here. Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Howe.
I move, you didn't have anything? I move that we accept the minutes of, dated June 27th, 2011, as corrected.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes of June 27th, 2011 as corrected. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. We can bypass the chairman's remarks. Move on to the department head committee reports. Sandy is aware. Was she coming in?
She was.
Okay. To facilitate some of what she wants to speak about, I know we've discussed the need to get her some assistance in there while Susan is out and while Ina is on vacation.
Ina comes back next week.
It's only 1 week.
Two or three. She comes back next week.
Well, we just spoke last week and she's still asking for help.
You know, with the, there's been a delay, you know, just with the transitional return to work policy. But, you know, Brian needs something, and, you know, if that could work out with negotiations between Mary Beth and Sandy, is that, you know, if Sandy needs help, you know, we're trying to basically provide something for Brian to do that's within the limitations of that the doctor places. It's just an idea.
I think it's a great idea.
And I had an idea as well. Sandy would mainly need someone that could be here when she isn't.
Right.
What Ina is. Why couldn't she maybe use one of the auditors?
Can they do that legally?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I don't have my book with me. I don't know. That's not so yeah, as the auditor and the town treasurer would be, but, let's see, auditor,
Well, actually,
They're not
she's been
incompatible,
using
it
an
says.
auditor.
huh?
She's used an auditor for a year and a half.
Oh, yeah, Martha, that's right, yeah, they're not incompatible, they're fine.
I mean,
Okay.
they may be too busy to do it,
I
but
didn't even think
I
of
was
that.
just thinking that they're here all the time and she could utilize them when she wasn't there, just so that keep the office open, and it would be somebody that probably would know some of the workings.
Yeah, because I thought Ina was back this coming week.
I think she is, because she'd come up to visit Susan, and I'm pretty sure she told me 2 weeks or 3 weeks that she would be gone.
And she's been gone.
Couple of weeks, anyway.
Yep, so this is her third week.
Well, I think those are two very good suggestions that should get us through that
Yep.
small dilemma.
I did offer to help if needed.
Yeah.
And so did I
Okay.
for free.
I mean, I don't know everything up there, but I could, at least be a physical person there, answer the phones.
The nice thing is that once you get on the payroll, that it makes it easier for somebody to be used that's already on the payroll than for
Yes.
Sally and Cindy to have to go through all the, the paperwork. It's not a whole lot, but there is some paperwork.
Okay. Well, seeing as how we're way ahead of schedule for the treasurer and a little bit ahead of schedule for Sandy, do you want to go over the fire chief job description now?
And can we set up a time to, discuss that? I mean, ratifying his position, the position.
Officially accepted as
Official.
fire chief.
Yes, exactly.
Of course.
Okay.
So, can somebody make a motion to go out of order to talk about job descriptions?
So moved.
So
Been
second.
moved and so seconded to go out of order to cover job descriptions. We'll start with the fire department. Mr. Capen, did you have a chance to go over that job description?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any comments about it?
The only two that I had a question about was the 10 years of experience and the first responder qualifications.
Now, had you at any point considered, didn't you tell us last week you were going to take that first responder
Yes.
training that Mike
Starts
is?
the 27th.
Okay.
He's on the list.
Okay. So that I think should cover the whole first responder piece. The 10 years experience, where was
It's
that?
on the last page.
Page 2,
Page
job
2.
qualifications.
I think it should stay there.
10 years experience of firefighting. You're pretty close to that, aren't you?
Yeah, like 7 years, 7.5 years.
But that's, that, we're not going to hold that that won't disqualify you, Todd. That still is, discretion is up to us. You know what I mean?
I was just simply putting it out there just in
Yeah.
case.
I just think it's important that if a board was to say, well, we need to go out and search the communities, or surrounding communities or something like that for one, that would be a qualification then. Do you see what I mean? But I think,
Explorer.
am I right in saying that? Yeah.
You hung out there.
I've been around it with my dad and grandfather since I could walk probably. So, I mean, I've got, a good idea of the background, and then 7 years experience.
Caught driving the truck at 6 years old.
Yeah.
So it's experience by osmosis. I think that counts.
Yeah.
So does the board want to, Chris made the suggestion that we set up a time to make an official ratification. Let's set a date.
The next regular meeting is the
18th.
18th.
The 18th, and then August is a bit of a flurry with board members, and our board secretary has spoken about not being able to attend all the meetings. So I think the next meeting will all be together is that 18th. Do we want to do it on the 18th?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay.
Fine with it.
Same time, 6?
6:30.
No, it'll be at 6:30, and we'll go through the official business for, not that yours isn't official, but I mean the bills and warrants and the minutes and
So the normal agenda.
Yes. So I would say we could have you on. Actually, as a little surprise to the next meeting, I've got Representative Hebert will be here, and I'm expecting to have a phone conversation with the lobbyists to discuss their role and what they've done. So that'll take us about 15 minutes. We're probably looking at 7:30.
7:30. Okay.
And if you don't have any concerns about this, the board has already approved it, so I would say that we would just move forward with this one.
I believe I'm all set at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how has your first official week?
Pretty quiet. I mean, it's, just other than just trying to learn some new things with the responsibility of the chief.
Your week was quiet.
Did you get my email about the historians
Yes,
and the
and
fire tanks?
I did contact Peggy
Okay.
just
good.
to update her with what I had for information.
Sounds good.
Right.
And what are we doing to bridge the communications gap that has sort of arisen between the select board and the fire department? Any
How did that
suggestions yet?
happen? I didn't know that we had a problem. That really bothered me last week when it was mentioned, because I didn't think we had a problem.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't.
Did you receive my email about our tanker?
No. Did you send it after 4 today?
No, I sent it probably last week
No.
sometime. Just an update. I had KME come out and check the tank, and it has 2 cracks in the tank. I'm in contact with UPF, which is the tank manufacturer. I have to get them 2 serial numbers. They're going to do the history on the tank, and when I hear back from them, they're going to decide if they're going to repair or replace the tank.
So the burden is on them at this point?
Well, it's on me at this point until I get the 2. Well,
The financial burden.
that's the thing. The only charges that we'll have to pay for is the manufacturer to take the tank out of the truck and the replacement of the tank. So if any repairs that they do to the tank will be no cost to the town.
Okay, so they're willing to repair it, but they're not willing to replace it.
Well, that's why they're looking at the history of the tank.
Oh, okay. So that's a possibility they still may replace it? if-
Right. I've pushed pretty hard with KME and UPF to, replace the tank. So as soon as I call them with the 2 numbers, then we'll go from there.
Okay. And yeah, please resend that email, because I didn't get it for whatever reason. And if I don't get it, I mean, you think you'll be able to do it by tomorrow?
Yeah.
Or tomorrow, I should say?
Yeah, I can.
So if I don't get it by Wednesday, I'll try to contact you because we got some sort of email
Okay, sounds
issue.
good. I think that's all I have.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? All right, let's go back into, well, we'd have to go back to,
No, but, thanks, Todd.
thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Ball,
I think you'd like a motion to go back to Section 6 for the treasurer's report?
you read my mind.
Second.
So moved.
We moved and seconded to go back to Section 6 of the Treasurer's Report. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye. No, do you have to accept this as a motion?
No, it's already been approved,
Okay.
I would think.
Done in red, I suppose. Couldn't find it. Excuse me, Mike.
So usually a person only shows up once under here, and 3 times 4. It's, Dave. Still in water.
Oh, because he went on vacation and he chose to have all of his checks.
Oh, okay. For that
So
period
we
of time.
do that, and then he has to be on there as many times as he gets that
Okay.
check on that day.
Cool. It just was different than
Yeah,
I...
good question.
So how was your vacation?
It was good.
Yes,
Very nice.
you look healthy and...
Yeah, I do once a year. I was sick all the rest.
I wasn't, I really didn't want to say that.
I know, but I felt it.
If you ever could basically bottle that feeling
Yeah.
of being on vacation, sitting on the beach under, with a little drink with a little umbrella in it. Patty patented it.
It has 2. Oh, you didn't. This one only has 2. Thank you. Yep. I don't think I'm going to be visiting that beautiful beach this year. No, we've been invited, but I don't like Bobby to be up there more than an hour, and they want us to stay for a couple of days. Oh, sorry.
take my place. I don't particularly like being there for more than an hour.
Okay, we'll leave him there, I'll drive you back home. Up to me. I went up last year and drove Susan up because he had to stay back, he had a car to fix, and her and I had quite a time before those two got there. And then I wouldn't wait for Bobby to walk on the beach or nothing, I just made him leave with He hadn't been there an hour.
When do you go, Bob, the 13th?
I don't know. I took off 2 weeks just so that I'd make sure I got the right one. I think I'm kidding.
No, I don't think you're kidding. I hope you got one of the right one.
I hope so,
That took off 2 weeks.
or I'll be able to get a lot of work done. Susan, I know you're not watching.
You better hope.
She might catch a rerun, though.
I'm gonna call her and talk about it.
We're not live, by the way.
That's right.
Well, we may be.
I can
Oh.
outrun her now easily.
We just can't tell.
Actually, is there a way to tell?
You could call your home.
What's the website? bctv.org, or is it?
Org, yep.
No, I don't think it's that easy.
I always
Is it
Google
Brattleboro?
it, so I don't know.
Oh, there's 3.
I gotta come in and make some orders and stuff for the newspaper. Huh?
July, huh?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna try to
Oh, is
put in
it?
the paper a
Yeah,
advertisement
that
for
sounds
somebody
better.
for editor and
FireTV.org.
managing editor. I don't wanna do it anymore. Too much like work. I'm tired. Do you wanna look at that?
Is it 3 on it?
No.
You know what you haven't done lately?
Trash stats.
Yeah. I was thinking about it the other day.
I noticed that when one of them was really high and the other one was really low. There's like a $7,000 and a $4,000 in the past 2 months.
Got another week, give it to me and I'll get it in the paper.
How long do I have?
I'll be putting it together on the last week.
Okay. Can you send me a little friendly reminder like Thursday?
I'm just hoping that paper and cartridges come before then. If not, it won't be until the week after. And also, I gotta get a computer for there. Do you,
For where?
for the newspaper, she's gonna get the old newspaper one. So, cheap just to tell her. Oh, no, it would have to be a monitor too, because she needs the monitor too. So it would be the reasonable, good one. Don't have nothing except for Microsoft Publisher on it. But actually, you know what, I don't need that, because I have the software myself at home. So I can use my own software.
I'm not going to put any pressure on her. I think I emailed her on July 1, 12/01 to ask her about the new computer.
Did I answer you?
You did.
I don't even remember getting it. That's pretty bad. Oh, yeah, I do now. So what is she talking about? Yeah,
That's 3.
okay, there's 3.
There's 3.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Miller?
I move that we pay warrants. 1, SG, accounts payable $68,735.84. 26S, payroll $15,986.02. 27S, payroll $24,220.87.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to pay warrants 1SG, accounts payable in the amount of $68,735.84. 26S, payroll, in the amount of $15,986.02. And 27S, payroll, in the amount of $24,220.87. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Want me here for job description?
If you could.
Okay. So you're going to do that next, or?
We're just going to blaze through Sandy's.
Okay. You want me to stay up or sit down?
Right there.
You can stay there.
I have to dig into this bad boy. Did you eat?
Not yet.
Did you get anything?
Yes. Sandy, we'll go back into order now.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to go return to order. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Where do you want to begin?
We probably need an executive session on personnel.
Okay, is this regarding your help?
Yes.
All right. We had a quick discussion while we were waiting because we were ahead of schedule, and we sort of came up with a couple of ideas
Okay.
that maybe we can run by you. One would be that Brian Daniels is working in the return to, or the transition back to work policy, and do you think he could be of any
He
assistance?
could. He could. I have a conflict on Thursday when I will have to be out of the office, so I would probably have to close the office Thursday, which I don't want to do, but I think I have to.
Well, we talked about that as well, and we were wondering if maybe an auditor could fill in while you were gone.
Well, they couldn't sign anything in.
But at least the office
But
could be
they could.
open and,
I would be in, I can work until 8, and so whoever, they could just make copies.
now, we haven't discussed this with them, but we were just coming up with some ideas, and
Right.
those were two that came up. Chris offered to volunteer, and Katrina offered to work as well. So I don't know if those 4 bodies would be enough to at least keep the office open.
They could keep it open, they couldn't do DMV, they couldn't do Fish and Game, they couldn't do certifieds, but they could check stuff in,
Mhm.
which would be fine with me. And I would leave the vault open. You don't want the vault open. If the
I
vault's
wouldn't.
not open, they can't, title searchers can't do title searches, but,
If you were going to close the office down
okay.
anyway, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't have somebody to answer the phones, I wouldn't open the vault. They would just
Okay.
have to do title searches on
And
Monday
they
or
can-
Tuesday.
They can come in and do a title search through the card index and read a list of copies they want, and we can fax them to them. That would be wonderful.
Will that work?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So would you mind coordinating that with any of the 4 parties mentioned above?
Is Brian one of those options?
Yes.
Okay, that's,
He's an option if he's gone through and filled out the his doctor has looked at that and established the requirements. So if he hasn't had that meeting with his doctor in the form, he can't do any work from the town.
I've noticed them around the offices quite a bit lately, so I'm hoping that,
He's been working for the PD.
Yeah, because I've called down
He's
there
not
a couple of
supposed to be
times.
paid unless he's, and I made it very clear on that case, is that, and he actually gave me a ride back from a call in Brattleboro, when I drove the ambulance up to Brattleboro, and we talked about it.
I'm sorry, that struck me
What?
too. I don't know,
just hop in an ambulance and
Just
drive it to
go.
Brattleboro?
sorry.
Yeah,
Wow.
they asked me as far as
Is this a
for,
rescue ambulance, or?
Yeah.
Wow,
Wow,
You didn't know he could do that?
no.
I didn't
Yeah,
either. I don't know why it struck me
drove
funny, I'm sorry.
Actually drove the utility back today from a call. So,
So that means the two guys are in the back?
no, actually is that in the case last week is one person, a medic came down by himself,
Oh,
and they toned they toned Vernon Fire to basically provide support. And it was like, what do you want me to do? And he says, I really need you to do everything you used to do. So I said, fine.
I'm
So I
sorry.
did.
Sorry,
So
yeah,
then
me too.
Brian gave me a ride back, and I said, the reason why we have this policy is to both protect the town and to protect your interests. So we basically, everything is very, you know what you can do, and you don't overstep those bounds. And we know what you can do, based on what the doctor says. And we don't put you into a position where we cause you to overstep the limitations that your doctor has placed on you. And that's the whole, the policy is about, protecting you and protecting the town, at the same time as allowing the person to come back to work.
He's been working for a while. He's been working at least 8 weeks prior to your signing that policy.
And he's been getting paid?
Mm-hmm. 27 and a half hours. Mary Beth started him working. So I don't know if she had a note. I can check his file. It came in when I wasn't here. She may have a note. It's been at least 8 weeks, I would say.
Okay. Well, I guess that would be one of those things that, we'll basically take up and discuss.
okay.
And then the other issue was on the cemeteries. And as town clerk in Vernon, the town clerk tells people where to bury people and sells the lots, which is why Mike gave a suggestion that he did.
Yeah.
And I'm in contact with people and learned a lot.
And so the recommendation that you sent to all of us last week is a plausible,
Yes.
perfectly legal thing to do?
According to the present book.
All right, then do we need to take any action, or can you just do
No,
it?
I'll just do it.
Okay. And is everyone content with that?
I'm fine with that, so whatever she does, yeah,
Okay.
it's fine.
That's all I needed.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
So as town clerk, you tell people where to go?
She always has.
I just thought I'd add, it was funny.
And hopefully you're good with it.
I am okay with it.
Sandy, how was your evening with your son?
My evening with my son was awesome. They went fishing. Every day he was home, he went fishing. And we had a blast.
Did you tell him we all said thank you for his service?
I did. And he managed to be in the air the whole time of the day he turned 40. And I said, I think that was so we couldn't have a party. Thank you very much. I just hope they all come home soon.
Yeah, me too.
I'm too old for this.
All right, with that, we can launch back into job descriptions and personnel issues. Do we want to begin with the 3 job descriptions? We've already covered yours, right, Sally?
We've already accepted it.
Yep.
And the fire chief,
So, road commissioner.
yeah, because the rest of them are all done, right?
And we had started this before. Unfortunately, David is on vacation, or David is not here. But The first block, he says, at this time he's non-exempt, what happens? I don't think we as a board can even change that until we make a formal, if we make a formal change in the personnel policies.
I thought that if you supervised more than two people or more, that you were automatically exempt as far as the state and federal laws go.
I don't think you're automatically, but you have that option. And it's been recommended, it had been recommended many years ago to start doing that, but
But
it has not occurred.
don't we have a clause in the personnel policy
Yes.
that states he is, or that position is
Well, it was one for all of us.
non-exempt? Oh.
There should be some on the back there too. I don't know if it's 17B or...
These are- there's so many more.
It's about,
Yeah.
I think it's about winter
17
when they're
A.
plowing.
There
But I
might be a
don't know if it
17B.
specifically names the road commissioner.
I remember,
The highway department
vaguely
personnel
remember
is what it
something
says.
about that, like from years and years and years ago, but I don't remember the specifics of it. But you're right, it has to do with the plowing.
Plowing.
I guess
Well-
it's just one of those.
And then, was it Jeremy? Not Jeremy, what
No.
was
So
it?
there's, that's 17B.
Schneider, Harry Schneider.
Yeah,
And that's
Harry had said
17A.
is that you can basically, there's a number of different ways to skin that cat, but what you want to do is have consistency across the board. It would be the same thing as if you had, like if Mary Beth said, I'm going to take over and start patrolling and I'm going to do a regular shift, and which I think she does. But that might be a bad example. But she doesn't get paid, she's not taking overtime for that. Let's just say she was going to be doing a bunch of shifts and she wanted to get paid for that. She could be paid at the overtime rate as an officer, but not necessarily as the chief, if she was to be doing a lot of patrols and wanted to get paid overtime. I mean, that is something very similar, I think, to where we're at right now with an issue that's ongoing. And it just needs to be consistent. And as long as we put it in writing and we're consistent across the board, then
Where does that go in writing in the personnel policy?
Well, I think this kind of takes care of it. Because it says that you have to be exempt, you have to meet certain criteria, and it appears that he does, and then some. So, I think he should stay exempt until,
Well, he's
Forever.
non-exempt right now.
No.
It's being
No, he's
treated
not.
as non-exempt.
yes,
Oh,
because
because of
he's
the fact
getting
he's getting paid.
overtime.
He gets
Overtime.
overtime in the winter.
But I think Harry had said that if you offer him, if you take away that overtime, you can't just, snatch it out from underneath
Right.
him. But you increase his pay to
Average out. what
average out
overtime
the
is.
whole
Right.
year, and this is your overtime no matter what you...
So you get a
work.
salary and you...
that's, you're going to get a salary, and that's your
Right.
salary.
And that's what we had talked about many
You know,
times, about
take a,
building something in and having that, because he really is exempt. I mean, his position really should be.
because I know years ago now, and I can only speak of years ago because I'm so old now, but like the town clerk at the time was an exempt person, and there was a couple of times that she would work over. She would work on Saturdays as well, for 4 or 5 hours. But instead of paying her overtime, what they did was worked it into her salary. So, I mean, that made sense when Harry said that, to average out what he would make in the wintertime on any given winter, and then and make that
He
his
also
salary.
said that he could be paid to be the department head for when he's actually managing the people, but when he's riding the trucks and he's not managing or supervising at that period of
Did say
time,
that.
and he just gets paid
A lower rate.
a lower rate, and he gets time and a half for that lower rate, because so he's acting as a driver equipment operator.
Yes, because he would be the same as his operator.
Right.
a crew member, whatever they call it, yeah.
So there are a couple different ways to look at that.
I think average it in and let them keep a salary. I think that would be the better way for the treasurer. I mean, I can't even imagine having to go, well, I worked as a, you know,
Yeah, that gets a little crazy.
yeah, it does.
And we average it in over what? The last 5, 10 years?
We
No, I
usually do a
wouldn't.
3-year
Yeah.
average, because we have to budget overtime for them, and that's what we do. We take a 3-year average, and it's usually around 200 hours. So divide that into 52, and
Yeah.
it would be about 4 hours, to 44 hours a week.
But that's a lot better than, you know, come wintertime, if they had to work 20 hours, you know, in one day and keep on plowing and stuff, that with the rate of pay that he gets, that really mounts up.
But
I
at the
mean-
same time, is that what we had said before was to encourage, and the fact is a 4-day schedule, is that if you
Yes,
turn
I
around and
I agree.
move a day that you were going to be working, and then, so if you knew you were going to have a big storm coming in,
Yes,
is
I
that
agree.
you don't work the day before,
Yep, I definitely
get
agree
your
with that.
sleep, and then go in and jump in, and
Yep.
so there's a way to basically keep your overtime down.
But has that been done? I mean, do they do that yet?
No.
No.
So what's the pleasure? Change him to exempt?
He is exempt.
You know something? Until I'd say whether he is exempt or not exempt, I'd like to see the existing job description right now.
This is it.
That's the the description is existing.
Oh, the one, no,
I
this
don't
is the
think so.
one we did.
Right, I'm talking about the one.
The old one?
Yeah.
I have that.
With you?
No, but it won't take me long to go home and get it. Because I had all those,
We don't,
that's how I got this. I
You don't
wrote
have
it
it
from
here?
when I wrote these job descriptions, that's what I wrote it from, was the old one. The old one says exempt. I'm talking really old, you know.
because the thing about it is we have, if we can basically take a look at, you know, we have Brattleboro's personnel policy. We can talk with VLCT and get a suggestion from them. And canvas and see, is what we're doing right now is we're trying to basically finalize the work we already put in. It's this large effort. We're going to be making changes to job descriptions. Once this is finalized, we're going to be making revisions to it in the future. Not wholesale,
Right.
and not large, but somebody says, well, you really, you know, if I lift this, and you're saying is I'm limited to a 35-pound lift, and the reality is I need to be able to lift 50 because this is part of like Seth moving chlorine, drums of chlorine or what have you for the pool. And if I do this, I violate my job description, and if I hurt my back, then am I covered? So he says, I want that changed to protect myself. And, so it's a little thing. He comes in, we say, yep, we put a rev bar down at the bottom. Next door, we change it. We could even do a pen and ink change initially. We should be fluid enough and flexible enough. We're going to be doing this. So if we make that exempt, right now based on the original is exempt and truly exempt, then we leave it at that. We just make sure that we get that taken care of before and resolve that. And hopefully we get the personnel policy out and it's a
Yeah,
done
her and I
deal.
are going to start Friday,
We'll
right?
start meeting this Friday.
Yep.
Hopefully it won't snow for a little while.
And
I'm
it is
busy.
ever-changing, Mike. I said last week, I remember the select board that I first served on 18 years ago talking about job descriptions. That's why I was kind of kidding when I said, aren't we done yet?
But we
it is
had them done,
ever-changing.
and then they disappeared. They disappeared, the originals, the signed originals, a bunch of them disappeared. And it was like,
Then the employees' job descriptions, this is where they are, where'd they go?
Wasn't them.
I'm kidding.
Oh. I say leave it as exempt and I think that we should go with the adjustment.
fine with me.
Okay. The next outline block is just wording. I think it's fine. He questions, hires, discipline, and terminates. Generally, he does that.
Well, it's the wording is straight out of the, that we use is straight out of the personnel policy right now.
Okay, but in other,
I have a job description here. You guys want to see that?
yep,
It's not
Okay.
marked up, though.
okay, they all do say the same thing, you're right.
Is that the road commissioner?
Yes.
No, I'm talking to him. I gave him one. Okay.
So we leave that. Serves as equipment operator should be here. I don't understand that. Serves on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I think that's fine. You can stop me if I'm wrong.
No, I think it's
He
fine.
says, talking about passing a pre-employment drug and alcohol test is required anyway by an operator, but I think it should just stay in there for consistency. Same with passing the biannual DOT physical.
Huh?
On the third page, we repeat ourselves about working nights, weekends, and holidays and being on call, or as needed. I think it's still fine. Now, on the lifting and carrying, he recommends it be higher. I would agree with that. And he
Yes, I would know
recommends
what-
that we add extreme heat and extreme cold.
He says 120. Yours isn't marked up. He's asking for 120 pounds there.
It's a fair amount of. The reason why you put down as far as what the ability is to have that in there is that what you really want to have somebody, when you go to hire somebody with it physically, are you saying is that you're going to limit it to 120 pounds without having to use any mechanical advantage like a lift or anything like that? Is if you put 120 pounds down there, that's going to basically mean strapping guys. Whereas if you put 75 pound on there, is that anything over that you have to lift, you're going to be able to use a lift or some sort of mechanical advantage to do that. I'm not sure that I really want to put 120 pounds down there because a lot of people can't lift 120 pounds without screwing up their back.
Okay.
And I think he said, though, that it was 120 pounds to lift a wheel, but you'd want to have, if somebody needs to lift that amount, is that you'd hope that he's going to get somebody to help him out to do it.
Couldn't we change it to, must be able to lift a minimum of 75 pounds?
Well, I think that's
Says-
implied.
Lifting, specified pounds, carrying, specified pounds. And so what he's saying is that carrying 120 pounds, carrying 120 pounds is not an easy thing, and I'm not so sure we really want to have people carrying around stuff instead of using some mechanical advantage.
Yeah, and it depends on what it is you're carrying.
Well, the fire department's got that requirement. Oh, no, they're
120?
75.
No, his is 75.
They lift 125 and carry 75.
Right. We have to be able to lift, that's a DOT standard for being able to pick up. 2 EMTs would be able to pick up the combined weight of the patient and the stretcher picking it up. And so they're saying 250 divided by 2.
Yep.
So leave these at 75 pounds?
I'm good with that. Bobby?
Yeah.
The way I read it, if you can lift 75, then you can probably lift more.
But if we don't put it up to the 120 and they do lift 120, then what?
We don't put it up to the 120, right, and they get hurt.
I see what you're saying.
You could put 120
What did
pounds for
I didn't put the
lifting,
hurt in there, yeah.
but 75 pounds
Thank
for
you.
carrying.
So you shouldn't
Yeah.
have something to the effect of max.
Or minimum. I think Bobby's right.
No, minimum would mean you could do at least 120. Maximum.
No,
75.
75, minimum 75.
Because you don't want somebody that couldn't pick up 75 pounds. You could probably pick up 75 pounds.
I bet you I could Indian wrestle you.
I'll bet you could.
I think we can sell
Come on, let's
tickets.
go.
And then Ron said
Yes,
that, and I
exactly.
Yeah, but I outweigh her by 100
We
pounds.
sell enough tickets to basically, never mind, I'll leave that one out.
So why don't we say 75-100? Like a range.
I go 120 pounds carrying and 75 pounds, 120 pounds lifting and 75 pounds carrying.
125 pounds
Lift.
lift.
What does chloride, how heavy of a bag is
All
that?
right, so
I don't
that'll
think
be
it's-
here, lifting, and
It's
then
only
carrying is
50.
75.
I think his concern was tires, changing tires. Sometimes there's only one person there.
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
wouldn't
what I
carry that tire, you're gonna
No, but
roll
you-
that tire.
But you're gonna lift it.
You're gonna lift it at a
And I think
point.
that was his concern, that the
Yep.
tires weigh more than 75 pounds, and sometimes in the winter in particular,
Well, that's
not
why-
another person there to assist.
Right.
So then the 120 lifting is good, then the 75 carry.
Well,
No,
125,
five.
125 lift,
Okay.
75 carry.
I wouldn't lift the whole tire, I would stand the tire upright and put a bar under it.
Under it and lever it up,
Okay.
lever it up.
I wouldn't
Which
just-
stores,
I think you're gonna have to go down and teach
I
her.
wouldn't just grab it like and walk up.
They wouldn't either.
I mean,
but yeah, that's what I go, lifting 125, 75
I'm
carry.
not touching it
Okay.
again until you guys make up your mind for sure, because Sally and I had scratch outs all over the paper.
Oh, so don't I, I'm awful like that, yep,
125, 75.
yep,
And we'll add heat and cold.
yep.
All right, then the final, from the
Physical,
physical, mental reasoning, repair work environment should be added. To clarify this, because it's not for the last part.
this, to clarify, this, just, I don't know what I wrote. This- I was taking fast notes, come on, they were
Well, we
talking,
have-
and I was taking,
They have to work with mechanical equipment, electrical equipment.
In weird environments,
So that's
Extreme
what,
or multi-environment, yeah, extreme environments.
yeah.
Well, I think that's covered in here.
Yeah, to clarify this disclaimer, that's what it's saying. From the physical and mental reasoning repair work environment should be added, that's,
But we have that on page
But we have that.
3.
right. Well, I was thinking with the extreme cold and extreme heat, that's, and that's why, to clarify the disclaimer, that's what he's saying, to be,
So he's...
hey, my notes will
okay.
come back, they'll come back.
Well, I think we can leave that as one of the things that we can change in the future if we need be.
Okay. Otherwise, I think it's okay.
All right, are we good with those changes?
Yeah, do we need to make a motion to have Sally do a estimate of his pay and go that route?
I
It's not a
can tell
motion.
you, what I budgeted for his overtime, because we've got the budget.
Then you would just take that and
Yeah,
for the
if
whole
it's
year.
over that,
And that was done on a 3-year rolling average?
yeah.
But that, if he's over that, and from this moment on, he would not be eligible for overtime at all.
Right.
He will get that.
All right, so that's up to you whether you want to, because as I said, the average is about 200, and I'm just not sure if we did 200, or I have to look at my spreadsheet, because I put notes on the side, I just don't remember for sure.
Yeah, right, am I
I can
correct?
certainly
He
let
would,
you
he
know.
would be totally no more overtime because now it's worked into his
He's going to
pay.
get an increase in pay.
He'll get an
because
increase in pay, but that's,
Right.
We're using the
Right.
averaged.
right.
So on a good
But it
winter,
should-
he makes out, and on a bad winter, he doesn't.
Mhm.
But it'll average out in the end.
Right.
but it'd probably be better for Sally to take it back, crunch the numbers, take a look at it in the different ways, because there may be something that when you bump that up, it's like, oh, shoot, now we're going to go over on
Yeah, we may.
in this other budget line item, so
Okay. So that's a very good point.
Yeah. So you could vote to go exempt and then have me do numbers for you. You can decide which.
He clears his mouth, he'll make the motion.
Last year was a crazy.
What?
winter. This past winter was
Well, I would say is what we've got for the job description is that we talked about a lot of different changes, and that somebody's got to have a marked up copy. Who's got a marked up copy of that?
Sally does. You marked it up, right, with the changes we've just discussed?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, but who's got the original as far as the in the electronic version?
I believe
Not
I do.
I.
Yeah, I do
So-
too.
Right, so.
I
We all
believe
do.
Chris and I have.
Yeah.
So as far as that, we basically is that I would move that we accept all of the changes that we had discussed and accepted, as well as the factors to make the road commissioner an exempt.
Second.
And from there, you would.
It's been moved and seconded to accept all of the changes that we discussed on the road commissioner's job description. Including the change of status to exempt, and Sally will move forward and research the best way to figure out the exempt figures. Does that capture what you said?
I really didn't motion the second part as far as what Sally was going to do,
Okay, so,
but we'll basically be doing that in the future.
okay. So the motion is to accept the changes that we've discussed in the the road commissioner's job description, including the status of exempt. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Next, we have the equipment operator and mechanic. Again, most of this is semantics. They do question the statement about cleaning trash and debris from the roads. I wouldn't think.
I mean, I would have to think that if they're doing something in the culverts and there's trash there, they're gonna pick it up. I mean,
I think that
that's
they're
on
worried
the
about
needs.
the fact that if you were to go down a road and say it looked like hell and there was trash all over the place because somebody was throwing it out the window, I think they're afraid we're going to come back and say, hey, you haven't been picking up your road, the road, excuse me. And I don't think that's the intent. I think it's the intent is as a part of their business, and just like you said, if they saw something that while they were working in an area, they would be picking it up.
Yep.
Can you leave out trash, because debris isn't debris trash?
Well, who does pick up
Things?
the trash?
I mean,
Well, debris could be,
could be anything.
well, the rain has washed down a bunch of vegetation
Yeah.
and tree limbs and all sorts of stuff. The
Somebody
trash.
threw a couch out.
Yeah, I mean, what if somebody threw a bag of trash out on the side of a town road? Who would pick it up?
Personally, I would think is that they would. Like if there was a roadkill of a deer or something like that,
That's Fish and Wildlife.
well, they wouldn't be doing skunks, do they?
Or dogs.
Fish and Wildlife would.
They
I
do?
think they would come and
Really?
get, yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I thought that was our responsibility.
I don't know. I couldn't say that for sure. I
If
know
it was
that
a
wild
game
animals
animal, I would-
do, yeah.
I would see that, but not,
But even a bag of trash, I mean, if there's a bag of trash on Pond Road and it's sitting there for 2 days, I would expect them to pick it up on their way by. And even if the bag got broken up, I would expect them to, the highway department does, the state highway department does that. They're on the sides of the road picking up trash all the time.
Yeah,
those
there's
guys with the orange jumpsuits.
I don't know what state you're in. Those guys are working for free.
I wonder where the chains came in.
Yeah, the changing.
They don't do that in Vermont. We can't make our
cleaned cow
prisoners work.
manure off the road with a fire truck.
Well, there's I don't know, I haven't been there in a year or so, but remember when I reported to the select board that I had stopped at Indian Point for lunch, and we went over to the fence to look at the thing, and over that fence is like somebody is using that as a dump, It is, I mean, down,
terrible.
it just rolls down onto the railroad tracks, and it's really bad. I don't know how bad, who would clean
Nowadays.
that up?
That's a
Nowadays-
state highway.
Even over the bank like that, that's
Well-
way over.
I think if they knew.
It's railroad.
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of a toss-up as to who, but 142 is a state highway, so anything on 142, and I have seen state highway people stop and pick up open bags of trash and stuff, so.
Yeah, well, this is over the bank, it's over the
Yeah, I don't-
fence,
I
down
don't
at
even know.
probably
So
nobody.
trash stays.
I'd leave it.
Okay.
I'd say it stays.
One thing about having just average ordinary citizens start picking up trash, is that nowadays, like that stuff that's over the embankment, somebody could be dumping meth lab
Yeah,
stuff
I
there.
agree.
And if you turned around and started to pick that up.
Oh, I wouldn't go over it anyway. No,
No.
It would kill you.
yeah, no, I wouldn't. Wouldn't do that, no.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody expects them to tour around all
No.
week long
Right.
picking up trash, but if there's an obvious trash on the road, I think, I mean, I've stopped and picked up obvious trash on the road. If I'll do it, I expect everybody else to do it.
Bobby had a good question, now, what if there was a couch or chair or something else, say some sort of appliance or something, then who picks it up?
Yeah,
I still think they should.
I think
You do?
I know they have out of Oxcart Road area. I know they clean they clean some pretty
Okay.
creepy
Yeah, I don't
stuff
think
there.
Didn't somebody leave something at the boat landing at one
Yeah.
point?
Where they put the blocks up.
Yep.
Trust me, I go down there with the battery deliveries.
Yeah, I say
It's
we
an
leave it.
adventure.
Yeah, I don't think it means,
Right.
instead of May cleanup day that, they have to do this. And I just think that it's, you see it, you pick it up.
Yeah, we're not gonna fire them if they miss a bag of trash.
Right.
Or not do the culvert work because you're picking up, you're driving around looking for trash. I mean, I just think it's the obvious
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, they asked if we really want to commit to repairing lawns, fences, and driveways damaged by snowplow operations. That was in there before, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, but yeah. Yep, it was.
Any other comments?
Well, It's gotta be within reason.
Yeah, I mean, really,
Oh, yeah, I mean,
exactly, but you can't, where do you draw the line? Where do you say, you know?
Common sense is gonna have to come
Yes.
into this.
Yeah,
We're
I mean,
not trying to breed common sense out of them.
right. You
But
hit
I
a,
think
you hit a
this is-
mailbox, replace it,
this has
period.
only happened once or twice in the past
Yes.
4 years.
Yep,
Right.
yep. And Annette and
Used
I
to
were the
happen all
ones,
the time.
that
Well, at least
replaced it,
nobody
we dug the
complained
hole and
later.
everything.
Well, I was to say is that depends on whether the behavior of an individual that likes to basically say is to keep track of how many mailboxes he can take out.
Well, that would become a disciplinary action.
Yes,
So we leave it?
I say yes.
As long as
Should you add the term within reason?
I think hitting mailboxes in all defense of the highway guys, I think it happens a lot more than we realize because you're out there at 3 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
it's snowing like crazy, and you can't see somebody's mailbox, it's easy to hit it.
Oh,
And
I don't care.
think most
I am-
people in the community
Are
go,
reasonable.
yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's
You
a
know?
reasonable thing.
my road's nice and clear, I have to buy a $30 mailbox, big deal, things happen. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think it's something that happens every day to every
No.
citizen in town, but it does happen sometimes, and it's through no fault of their own.
No, I don't blame them.
No.
I don't in the least, I don't. No. And like Mike said, we've only had one in 4 years.
And if they
They
feel it's an unreasonable request that
And
somebody's
Annette and I are the
asking,
ones
they can
that-
come to us.
dug the hole and
Yeah,
replaced
And
it.
that's what happened before.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Maybe because the guy kept coming back.
Serves on call 24 hours a day, I think that's fine, we've already discussed that. There's a question, should we increase our pay during winter hours? I think, ability,
How about we decrease it because they get overtime?
Well, I think the point that we've learned, or we've
Right.
discussed tonight, is we need to work with the highway department to minimize overtime by utilizing the 4-day work week. And nowadays, I think you said it before, it's so easy to track storms with Doppler radar that they do it with a fair degree of certainty now. So if a big storm's coming in on Sunday, you don't work on Thursday or something like that.
Or
It's just-
Monday, right.
And I think we need to work with them to hone that in and say that, all of this overtime is unacceptable. We need to start.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because that one year, I remember one year was really, I mean, it was storm after
Don't
storm
wanna
after
be
storm, and it
punished.
was,
There's not a lot you can do
The
about
two-
that.
I know, there isn't,
Exempt.
it really isn't.
You know, and there's
Don't fault
also
anybody,
the,
but-
Give the exempt
That was bad.
all that overtime. You know what I mean?
I know
Yeah.
exactly.
Say
what
that
you
again?
mean.
We don't want to punish the non-exempt people.
Oh, no.
and
if
give
we're
the
gonna average
exempt
out the
person
overtime to the exempt
with all the
person, and then all of a
Right.
sudden say to the non-exempt,
You're not going to get it.
No, I wouldn't do
good
that.
point.
Yeah,
It's a very good.
yeah, it is a very good point. Maybe the lower pay for the, no. I was thinking, his pay dropped down too. If you're going to pay overtime for the commissioner, then his pay drops down to
Equal theirs.
equal theirs and then overtime, if that's a better way. But
Well,
she's going to
Here's
let
an
us know,
option as
right?
well. Katrina, I know you've spoken to a number of highway foremen
I don't
in
like
other
to- I don't
towns.
like that idea either.
Could you relay the information that you relayed to me to Sally? And
Yeah.
then possibly, maybe you could contact a couple of other
Mhm.
towns and see how that works, and then that can give you, Sally, a baseline for statistics?
I've talked with, I've actually been in contact with Newfane's, some Newfane Select Board members and their highway department. I'm waiting to talk to somebody in the Wardsboro department, some of the smaller town departments, as opposed to Brattleboro, which are
Right.
larger towns. And I look at
doesn't
Vernon as a
compare us.
little different. You can't really compare apples to apples. So I've been in contact with some of the smaller towns to find out how they're doing with their highway road commissioner, road foreman. And a lot of towns have two positions. They have a road commissioner who is just a position, sort of a figurehead. If they have an issue with the road foreman, then the road commissioner can be called to deal with any disciplinary actions or issues that might come up, and then he gets paid for that time. And then they have a road foreman, and the road foreman is a working road foreman. He plows, he's working in the culverts along with the other guys, and he does get overtime. The difference being, of course, with some of these other towns that I've talked to, is they have a 5-day work week, not a 4.
So they can't adjust for snowstorms coming.
Right. So that's a little different than what you've got going on too. But each town operates just slightly different, and I don't know what Wardsboro has. I believe they have a road foreman. I don't know whether they also have a road commissioner. I know they have a road foreman, but I don't know whether they have a road commissioner.
We had spoken about that
Yes.
once before.
Yes.
So does the road foreman do the paperwork and all of that too?
He does.
Interesting.
He does.
So that would
So
almost
he still's the exempt.
make him non-exempt and pay him an hourly rate and let it be as that.
We don't have a road commissioner that's providing that independent
No,
function.
we don't.
I don't
And
know.
I
That'd
still
I
be
think
tell you,
there's a
interesting to
rules
see
of-
the price or the
Yeah.
wage difference.
equal it out, I mean, work it out and,
I mean, that's the biggest thing, if you pay a working foreman, less difference between, then,
I can certainly find out more
Back in the
information.
90s,
And then I might be able to get copies of
150
job
hours a
descriptions.
day overtime is about the average.
yeah, that would probably be,
Yeah, that's too hard.
Yeah.
Well, The reason I know that is not because I
Part of my
was
work
digging
with
around looking on
personnel
my own,
manuals,
that's
but to talk to other
because
towns
a
about
person
their
that
personnel manuals. And
had
I mean, I
access
know
to
we use
that
radicals and stuff, but I'm trying to incorporate
showed it to me.
the best
And I
from
wanted to know
even
why
smaller
all of a
towns.
sudden there's an increase.
Maybe we
Which
talk about the, you know,
I've
the
asked,
step.
but I've never really
Personnel.
gotten an answer. I started to get static, so backed off.
Okay.
So I can find out some more information. I can perhaps get
Well, I mean, do you
copies of
wanna
job
ask again,
descriptions
or-
to see where they're,
We could,
and also find out some
but they may
possible
not know.
wages.
Maybe that's part of the,
And
sometimes
see
you'll
what they're
get,
currently.
you'll get an argument if somebody doesn't know the answer, and then they try to defend it.
Well, I think what
because-
they're looking for is
Well, you
to
know.
see how they're compensated.
I don't want to, take away from anybody.
No, I don't either. I
But
think,
he's-
He does a great job, and I
Just
don't
stay
want him to
similar
feel
to what
hurt.
it
And then
is.
getting overtime,
Or
or
equal.
is he making
It
higher
needs to
wage
stay
and still getting
approximately
overtime?
equal to the way it is,
Mhm.
but it needs
But I do know
to
that New
be
Phoenix is getting
staying
overtime.
that way.
I'm
Right,
not sure about
exactly.
Woodsboro.
So-
And I'm not sure
Do they
about-
have more than, do they have 2 or more under them, do you know?
He does?
well, we haven't
I'm just
made a
wondering why they
decision
don't go by the-
to
Mm.
change anything yet, just investigate changing it. And if, I agree with your point 100%, you're absolutely right. If we're gonna take this step to help everyone better differentiate, or let's use better time management during the winter, then the other person shouldn't get all of that overtime. So that's something we'll have to think about moving forward. Unless we want to hash it out
Maybe we
tonight.
just leave the pay as it is and just work on ways to cut all the overtime down a little bit.
Well,
I think
yeah.
Katrina's gonna get some hard and fast options and be able to list those options as far as, and then compare, and with each of the different options, as far as how the pay schedule is for those persons. Because a working foreman could be a step, like a sergeant, just a step above what the patrolman make, and still be able to make time and a half.
Right.
Whereas a straight exempt person, what are they making?
And I do know with New Fane, the road foreman doesn't take all the overtime. You know, like, he's eligible to work the overtime, but he spreads it out over the road crew.
Okay. I think the point also is, we need to treat all of our, let's say, team leaders equally. And,
Amen.
I mean, this is unequal right now,
Yes,
Exactly.
it is very unequal.
and we're also in trouble on another front because of that. But anyway, so moving forward with the equipment operator, like I said, the rest is pretty much semantics. We'll change the lifting and carrying to equal the road commissioner at 125 and 75.
Yep. There was also a question on one of them.
Yeah, they want better definition of hazardous materials. I think hazardous materials falls under anything that is required.
Hazardous materials is that you look at the MSDSG.
Exactly.
And if it says it's harmful to life and health,
Stay away
it's
from it.
hazardous.
Yeah, it's hazardous, exactly.
No, we don't dictate what that is, that's,
A lot of things, I think they would maybe put some pigs down and contain it and let somebody else that knows what they're doing come to clean it up.
They did ask
But-
about the Governor Hunt Road sidewalk, too. They said it should be sidewalk, not sidewalks, because we only have the one. And it says surrounding areas. They didn't know what that meant, the surrounding areas.
I think, given the uncertainty of the future of who's maintaining it now, we let that pass until there's a clearer definition. Because right now, they're still maintaining it, right? Okay. Lastly, I have the bus driver.
Yeah, and she had all kinds, she marked it all up, or they did, I'm not sure. Some's mine, I guess.
Meets with transportation user groups. She feels it should be committee.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a transportation committee that they meet once a month.
That's fine.
Shouldn't like the preschool that uses it, shouldn't they be meeting with them also?
Good
Okay.
question.
It's a group.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, so we add committee and user groups, or others who utilize the bus, which would only be the preschool. Maybe we could go right out and say preschool.
Rec department never uses it.
We could put it under rec department because that's
I
what
don't
they're
get it.
classified under.
Okay,
She wants.
so
user
committee
groups
and
out.
rec department.
They used to,
In
but
rec,
they don't
okay.
use
They used to
it.
use
Well,
it for
it's-
the camp kids.
It's,
I
what
don't think
could,
they do anymore.
meets with,
That's a whole other issue.
meets with, well, sometimes it's just groups.
No,
Not a committee.
they have, the seniors have a transportation committee.
Yeah, but it should be, that's too singular. This isn't all about the seniors, and it's unfortunate. But that's basically what some people think. Yeah, this is what. It's about meeting with all of the different groups that utilize the
Get it now.
van. So I would not specify the transportation committee. I would just say meets with, let's say, representatives of the different groups that use the bus,
Reps from
you know?
all groups, different
Yeah.
groups, all groups.
Representatives that regularly use the bus.
Okay,
Well,
Chris, do you have a comment?
no, I like that, that's fine.
Okay.
I just think that, but the thing is that we need to, if we're going to do this, we need to change that, because they'll book that bus for 2 months.
And we talked
And-
about that in the past, too, is the fact is that the bus is not to be monopolized by any singular group. They can't just book that out and then say, oh, we're all booked, we can't take say, whether it's the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, or whomever wants to use it. The seniors can't just monopolize it.
See, last time I was here, the rule, number one, that a lot of the school groups, they use the extra school buses that we had, which I don't
Yeah.
think are in very good
Yeah,
shape
we have
anymore.
one, and it's
We have
one
one
left.
left, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was always the elderly senior group gets priority, but then it's open for other
That's the
groups.
policy, isn't it?
That was the policy when I, that I remember.
Should only be priority for things like doctor visits, not for just fun trips.
Well, yeah, except for if they've already planned a trip and somebody else comes along and says, if they're going to the Holyoke Mall and somebody else comes along and says, oh gee, I'd like to, it's kind of not fair to
Nobody should
bump
be
them.
able to just, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying is that you just can't block out large blocks of time and say is that we're going to figure out how we're going to use it, but we've reserved it for this period of time. Should be for actual trips that are basically designated.
They've already got to be scheduled.
Yeah, and other people want to utilize it, it should be able to be utilized by anybody within the town, any group as specified within the policy.
And their fun trips, as long as they're staying within their budget, I think they can
Well,
they
yeah.
can dictate where they want to go,
But
what
they
they want
could,
to do.
what I'm saying is what's the difference if you go to the Holyoke Mall on Wednesday or if you have to wait and go Friday?
Yeah.
But if it's already scheduled, if it's scheduled a month ahead of time, and then all of a sudden, the week before, a group comes along and says, oh, we want the bus, the seniors shouldn't be bumped
I think
because
they-
they're scheduled way
No,
ahead of time.
And I'm not saying
I
that.
think you have to give them a 2 or 3 week notice before you...
Yeah, because doesn't Cookie do a monthly calendar?
Well, that's what I was thinking of. There's a monthly calendar that's out, so, if they've gone through the work of finding out, how to get there, where to go, and people sign up, you can't let another group, any group,
Absolutely.
come a couple weeks before and say,
Right.
never mind.
Right.
Okay, she wants the addition of the road commissioner in the place where trip schedules are posted.
She crossed it out on mine. Et cetera, then she put road commissioner, but she crossed it out.
And then I've got one that said road commissioner
Yeah.
should be included,
Yeah,
which it is
that would be
posted
me,
down
that would
there.
be, I wrote that. And that's because I was asked to rewrite it, so.
Okay. Attends a variety of meetings as needed. It means seniors meetings, then that is what it should say. Well, I think a variety of meetings just opens the option up that it's not just the seniors.
Right, but she's saying, I believe what they told me was that if it's a senior meeting, then, that they're going to, then it should say senior meeting.
Yeah, but it's...
That's the
we're
way it
not-
should say.
No, what we're saying is that they should have to meet with other groups, and so you could even strike that entire thing as and just say in the top, which says that they meet as needed with representatives of the different groups that use the bus.
Yep.
Well, she also is on our safety committee, so she does come to those meetings.
Say what?
So,
As bus driver, she's the representative for the safety
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah.
So she does attend those meetings.
rather than just use a group.
So you could leave it stand
Yeah,
As needed.
As needed.
Yeah.
Performs daily preventative maintenance. Shouldn't be there, the highway crew takes care of that. I think preventive daily
Daily
maintenance.
checklist.
Right. Well, you want to change it to checklist?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know she has a checklist as she goes over.
She does.
Well, that's kind of law, before she can get in the bus.
Yeah,
has to
she
walk
does have
around
a
the bus and
DOT.
do- Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thing,
she
yep.
does it, I've seen her do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, because he does the preventive maintenance and...
right.
Okay, so change it to preventative checklist.
You can keep DOT preventative checklist.
Preventative checklist?
Yeah, that's fine. Washes exterior of bus once a month. Once a month is scratched out and it says when needed.
That's because she said that sometimes it's a week or, you know,
Put a minimum of one.
I mean, she does it, if it's really bad, when she's done using it that particular day,
What
she'll
if we
clean it
just say
too.
once a month or as needed?
Or as needed, yep.
She wants to add, stays with group in same location area for safety.
We had talked about that,
Yep,
Okay.
Probably a good idea.
yeah. It's just,
yep.
you really want to designate where the meeting place is, because, or where she's going to be and they can find her, because I know that my wife has taken groups and she's actually had, one person, I was with her and one person fell and I ended up having to transport her back to the facility, and then another person had a cardiac event when they were just walking around. So they really need to know it because they're not carrying cell phones, that it's important for the driver to be in one location where they know whether they're going to be able to find her.
Okay. So we'll add for safety purposes to that line item? Or just for safety?
For safety.
Okay. Maintains clean garage area, leaves bus key in secure place.
In the ignition where she won't lose it.
No, she does that, no, when she gogoes back, when she takes the bus back,
She's got to lock it.
yeah, she has to lock it, and
Especially
then,
when she's down the Holyoke Mall, that's a real simple place to keep the keys.
gee, I do that with my car, hoping somebody will, have fun, joyride. No, I'm only kidding.
Let's just,
You're on tape.
Mr. Geico man.
The car gets stolen.
keeps, she scratched out, keeps bus
Garage.
key in a secure place and changed it with garage key. Why don't we just say keeps keys in a secure place?
Yes,
Adheres to passenger confidentiality in accordance with scratch town policy and add health insurance portability.
No.
no,
No.
Okay.
Nope.
no, town policy.
It's town policy because she's not covered, and I'm not even covered under HIPAA as an EMS provider. We don't bill, so I'm not covered under HIPAA. So that's the reason why the town policy was generated, to ensure that there was something that provided direction to us.
Okay, so we won't change anything there. Uses town credit card in emergencies. She changed it to when necessary.
Yeah, I mean, she has a spending line item.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
When
uses town
necessary.
credit card as necessary.
As
turns-
necessary?
And turns receipts into town treasurer. Blah, blah,
Yep.
blah. Okay, makes, when substitute driver is needed, exchanges
Yeah,
keys,
then you're making
makes
changes at the
contact
time. Good.
to keep substitute informed.
I think that should be, I mean, that's a part of her routine. Do we have to put that in there, or? I mean, she does do that.
You might want to if someone else were looking at it on the
Yeah.
outside,
Okay.
looking for the
It's
job.
almost like, not just her, but all these job descriptions, they're making them from a description to a carved-in-stone policy
Yeah.
that they have to follow letter by letter.
Yeah, but at the same time, is what we've got these for is basically if we had to replace
It's a
somebody,
guideline.
Yeah.
it's what we basically
Yep.
hand out and say is, this is your job.
It's your expectation.
And
Yeah.
And I agree with that, but, the hard thing about being a town employee and dealing with the select board is the select board could change dramatically every election.
And
So-
that's why you want these to
I know,
provide
in
their
some ways,
protection.
but as far as the employees are concerned, they don't look at this as just a job description in case a replacement has to be found. They look at this
Yeah.
as, this is what the select board is looking for from us, and we want it in stone. I mean,
I've been here for years, and
well,
I don't think that this stuff, it never changes.
Well, like I said, how many years ago, when I served on the select board, we were dealing with this exact same
A month
thing.
from
And that's
now.
why, because it's one of those documents that employees do take very seriously.
Well, I think that we should add that, makes contact with substitutes to keep informed, or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Katrina, you get that? Sally?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's okay. Everything else looks okay until we get to maintain CPR, first aid, BPD, and AED. Repetitive, see above. It's listed on bullet number 3 at the top. So it's listed under job qualifications and job requirements.
Yep.
So scratch it. Performs other duties as required. Don't we have that in every one of these?
Isn't it? Wait a second.
It's right here.
No, that's one
Yeah.
essential job.
If they do
That's
something along the
essential
lines
job.
of
Yeah,
Excuse me, Mike, what did you just scratch?
I was going to say, which one are you
Yeah,
scratching?
makes
You said it was listed under job qualifications.
It's listed under job qualifications and
Job requirements.
job requirements. I mean, we can.
Should we
can
keep
under
them?
both.
Because one is a requirement, and one is
One's
a,
more a requirement
I would
as
say-
opposed to a qualification.
yeah.
Okay, keep them.
yep.
Well, you could scratch the top
Scratch
one.
the top
I
one.
would scratch the top one.
Yep.
It's more of a requirement than it is a qualification.
Yep,
That's the way I would read that.
yep.
Performs other
Scratch the
duties
top
as
one 'cause
required.
It's a requirement, it's just not just a qualification.
I'm fine with leaving that.
Okay.
The only other thing that I thought, under hazardous materials, I think that should be checked off because of the bloodborne pathogens.
Yep.
Wouldn't that fall
Well,
under
they-
hazardous material?
No, hazardous materials could be the cleaners that are being used on the bus. I mean, all it comes down to is when you say hazardous materials, is the fact is in Vermont is a right to know law state, which means is that the employer, and basically us saying to the supervisors is that you will have identified all of the hazardous materials and any of the chemicals that you or your personnel use have a centralized location in the work area, and that your employees have the ability and should look at the MSDS sheets for the chemicals that they're using. And so is that if you're using a chemical like to clean the inside of the van, you should be looking at the MSDS to make sure that there's nothing like if you were using an aerosol and you happen to have some sort of like COPD or some health issue, and you were squirting this stuff and it was like simple green, it can basically put you into a respiratory situation, distress.
Boy, I miss the days when you could just take ammonia and bleach and just scrub until your life.
Yeah, ammonia and bleach. Really bad
Bleach.
from the gas.
And just scrub as
Oh,
much
God,
as
you
you
were
want.
dead from ammonia.
So we should check that.
Hazardous materials.
All right, so are we good with the changes we've made to the bus driver job
Yep.
description? Can I have
Excuse me.
a
Motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Howe?
I move that we make all the necessary achievement, or all the,
Can I ask a question, Ken? What does ability to move distances within and between warehouse and office? Are you saying that the driver for the senior bus has to be able to walk to the bus? I mean, I don't get what you're saying.
I didn't put that there. So I don't know.
I don't get it either, Sheila.
It was, what it was, I think it was on all of them, the old ones, and it was just put there, so, and then it got checked, I don't know.
So that was probably it, because at one time, most of the senior drivers were all volunteers.
Yeah.
So you had to make sure that the volunteer could actually walk from their car to the bus before they drove the bus.
And my mother used to drive it at 70-something years old.
Like I said, for years, they were all volunteers.
So you want to take that out? We should take that out?
I think
No.
Mr. Sprague did too.
You want to take it out?
No,
Oh.
no, no.
No?
I just want to know what it means.
Okay, so that's, I think that's what it was.
And what about the other duties as required?
I think that's in all job descriptions.
It is. If it isn't, it should be.
That's just leeway, so we can require something
Yes,
else.
I know.
Like what?
So we don't have to spend the next 20 years redoing the job
Let's
descriptions.
put this one in.
So did you make the motion?
Chris made a motion.
That to accept the bus driver
With all the necessary changes.
job description as, with the corrections.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the bus driver position with all the necessary corrections that were discussed. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's it I have for
Can we-
job description.
Can we, let's talk about process. Is that we've had motions and adopted changes. Now is it going to be is that Katrina's going to basically type them up, show them to you, make sure that you agree, and then you're going to sign them?
I can.
Because
I don't think I
we've
signed
adopted
any of
it.
the other ones.
They've been, the only one question I had was on the fitness instructor, that doesn't have an approved next to it anyway.
I think because it went, did it go away?
No, what happened is these are all, they're ones that I had to recreate, and Mr. Schneider had some, so he sent, because they all got lost. And so the ones that, they all were approved before, but they just,
Well, all of them that I printed off,
Rec stuff.
with the exceptions of the ones we just went over, all stated approved, but this one in particular doesn't.
Right,
And I
because
didn't know
those
if
are the
it's
ones-
Because it is no longer,
No, it is a position.
it is a position. That's probably one of the ones that I've had to recreate from the old, that I did prior to.
So do you want me to take all of those rec positions and sit with Seth and go through them?
No.
No, we've
They're-
done
they're-
that.
They're all fine with that, except for the question was about seasonal employees and exempt.
Yeah.
Or overtime, and we cleared that up last year with the rec department. They were all in agreement with that, they just never got changed
and
in the job
VLCT is,
description.
according to the email that I got back from VLCT, they are seasonal employees
Right.
and not,
And which,
we do not
which we've been doing for 2 years now
Right.
anyway, so.
See, and the thing about, the job descriptions, my understanding was for the, basically for the staff members, there was going to be the supervisor and then the select board chair, signature block. When it is a department head, it was just the select board chair. I may be wrong on that, but that's the way I thought it was going to be, is because
It's been approved, by the way.
so that, that you'd only have the one signature on the department heads, not the department head and the select board.
Okay.
And,
I just know.
but I may be wrong there.
I honestly can't remember, and I don't think I've signed any job descriptions.
None
But-
of these are signed, of course.
What we need to do is to have all of those signed,
Yep.
get them signed, send them to the department head, get them signed, and then, or you sign them and then send them to the department head, but. get that
Katrina,
done.
can you get those for me, and I will sign them, give them to you, and you can disperse them to the department head?
I had one question, and it's just a suggestion, and I've seen on others, and I think it would be helpful to put the grades on. The grade and even,
Well, that's an
update it with
idea.
the salary
Yeah.
grid every year.
The other thing would
So
be is
that-
dates and like down at the bottom so that we don't lose track of when.
Yeah, these
When it
all
was
should,
last revised.
all the policies and procedures that you're doing and, pretty much any document that you're using here should all have a
Absolutely.
line on the bottom, a footer on the bottom that says where to find that document, number one, and, what it is, and a revision, last
Revision date,
revised
yeah.
date, so that when you're reviewing your policies and procedures, you know which ones you have to, it's time to go back and do the first 5 of these or whatever. I've talked to Sandy about this, if we do it with the minutes now, there's a line down there, it helps them if something gets out of order, something gets misfiled, it's easy to see where it belongs and if it's in the wrong place.
We do it when we change the design on the form, just on the bottom
Yeah.
of every new form, it says REV dash,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the month and year.
State?
Yeah.
Yep. And that is off the subject a little bit, but if you sign them, I think they should be personally delivered to the department heads and have them.
Well, I could go to a department head meeting. We'd talk, we could do it that way. In the next department head meeting, I could sit in on, we could talk about, that could be the job descriptions. And I've sat in on one of the meetings before. And, I don't sit in on all of them, but that could be something that I asked to bring before the department heads and get it signed that way.
Or I think maybe even the select board, whoever the liaison person is, should sit and talk with the department head and then have it signed by the select board.
Since you've made changes, you might want to.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd
and
like to do
because we're
that.
really working hard to try to develop a relationship
Yes.
between the select board and the different
Agreed.
departments. And, sending another department to have it signed by a department head, I don't think is as powerful as a select board member sitting down saying, thank you for your time. We really appreciate your work you put into this. This is what we've come up with. Let's dissect it and discuss it one more time and sign it. And I think that goes a long way for goodwill.
I absolutely agree.
We're all in agreement on that, then.
Yep.
It's because we didn't have any job description.
So the select board
right?
member that is the liaison could sign.
No,
You want Mike to
I'll
sign?
sign
Mike will sign them all. Like, I'll go
And
and
then
do
the
the highway
liaisons will meet with the department heads.
and Bobby.
So what would be nice, Chris, is can you send everyone a list of who the liaison for each department head is? I know I've been promising you that, but I believe you're just the rec department right now.
Yeah.
And elderly.
Never
Right.
say the word
Right.
just.
I shouldn't,
I think that,
Never.
have we worked with that? With the
liaisons?
appointments and
No,
stuff?
you know what, we were,
we've got the liaison.
Yeah, I have.
my understanding was though, after you get sworn in
But I want her
March,
to write one up.
you
so
sit
we
down
have
and
it
you
every
look
year.
at all the different departments
We
and
did.
that's, not while I was here, you didn't.
Were you on vacation again?
Yeah, I think you were.
Yes, you were.
Yeah, I think you were.
The only time I was on vacation was in April, the end of April.
That's probably when we did it, had to be.
No, we did it
No,
sooner than
we haven't
that.
done it since I've been here.
No,
We did
We did.
do it.
no,
We
you
haven't
did it
did-
before,
It had to
and
be
you told me
before
that I would
was
have who my predecessor was.
No, we didn't do it before.
No, because I
Whoever
still
sat
have
down
the
and did it.
highway, and these guys still have the,
2011.
yeah, so do I.
We got a sheet.
We didn't do the fence sitter and oil weigher and coal
Yeah.
weigher and all that stuff.
Yes,
didn't
we
do any of
did.
that
Yeah, we
stuff.
did.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, first night. That was the first night.
We got sworn in?
Yep.
Well, that, we only did the ones that we legally had to do that
Right.
Oh,
night.
yeah.
And then at a subsequent meeting, we did the rest of them.
We did.
And we went through each committee,
Yep.
but we just kept all of the,
It went pretty
Liaisons.
fast because we ended up just keeping who we had because
And
we
put
felt
you in
comfortable with it.
Right. We're
And
learning.
unfortunately, you basically,
Weren't here, and so you got,
you took,
Oh, I don't have a problem with who I have.
Right.
I don't mean it that, I don't have a problem with it at all.
Right.
But I do think that, especially people who serve on the board for a while, things should switch, just like the NRC person does at Vermont Yankee. I just think that things should switch,
That's when you get to like them.
Because, no, but you know what, sometimes,
That's the reason.
I'm not even saying just because, sometimes you lose your objectivity, you know? And as select board people, we all should learn about every department, not
Yeah,
just
that's true.
one.
I have a good rapport, though, with the highway, you know? I hate to give that up.
And I have a great rapport with the
Everybody.
rec department, but, you know, I think
Yeah.
it's important for all of us to have a
Well, see,
good
now,
rapport
how
with the
did you know you
highway.
had the wreck if we didn't sign you there?
Mike told me.
I'm playing. Okay.
I must have been late for a meeting or something then, and you guys had to have done it, because I don't remember missing a meeting in the beginning until I went on vacation.
It should be in the minutes when we
Yeah.
did that.
But I'll send it to,
It probably is. I don't have anything on my computer that is
Before you.
prior to me
you?
being here yet.
Oh.
Because I don't have a computer here, and this is my personal computer. Once I have a computer here, I'll start building electronic file cabinets and backing stuff up.
Okay.
Right now, I don't have that.
So when
She's
each
going to have it, though, pretty soon.
liaison meets with their department head, we can also discuss the evaluation process.
Right.
Now, this is the same evaluation process which we all used last time.
We're gonna finish, we're gonna finish with the motion.
Oh, we did it.
that's on.
Oh, yeah, we should.
Oh,
Where were we? Was this the discussion piece or?
Moved and seconded.
Yeah, I have a, it was, I didn't, yeah, it was moved and seconded. I thought you carried it. I have it carried.
I didn't think we did.
Motion was made by Chris Howard, make all necessary changes to the bus
Yeah,
driver
we did.
job description. Robert
Yeah, we did.
seconded, motion carried 5-0.
and then after that, then I started talking about, how we're gonna move forward.
Yes, yep.
But I do have one, I just need to clarify one thing on the motion that you did with the road commissioner. You have here that we accept all changes that we discussed on the road commissioner job description, including the status of exempt. So are you saying you are changing that, or are you waiting for me to get further information before you change that? It says here that you are changing him to exempt, and I want to know if that's really where you want to be.
I think
He's
that
always
we're
been
not
exempt.
changing it from exempt. We're basically
Yeah.
reaffirming the fact is,
That he
what
is
Chris was saying is that the current job description, the current in-place job description is
It's
exempt.
exempt, okay, I just want to be clear on that.
Sally's going to
Okay,
give us
one
some
last-
figures and...
Do you want me to give Katrina the grades and the grid? Because then each year we can update the grid as salaries change, if they do.
So the grid will just be the copy of the grid attached to
Well,
the...
I think it will just be what that grade is.
That would mean that somebody each year may have to necessarily go in there and change each of these job descriptions.
Just the grid part, yeah. That
Well,
way,
the
if someone's
grade.
coming in to look,
The grade
they
part.
see what the pay is, beginning wage, and if they even want to bother to submit an application. I think it's a good idea, but someone does have to,
I like
if
it.
there's a change.
Yeah.
I like it,
That way
too.
they see it. So I can get that to Katrina
Yeah.
if you want me to. Can we reflect that in the minutes,
But
Katrina?
I'd still like to have keep the grid as it is right now.
Yeah, it will, but I figure just for the job description, it'd be grade 6, the
Essentially,
grid.
you just have to hand it out, there's no question.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
entire
the grid
grid.
will stay as it is.
No,
Right.
the job description, each job description would say, this is a grade
Yeah.
of the frets. And then you know that if you were coming in new, that's the range that was on the grid, this is the range the pay would be.
Right, so you've got the full grid, then you just refer to this grade, and you can see the progressive steps.
Yep.
You're talking about something different.
She's
Yeah, I
talking
was
about something
talking about
different, so
something different.
yeah, you need to
I'm
clarify.
talking
I've
about that
been here long
particular
enough,
one
I
on
should have
that
moved
job
up a couple
description.
Yeah, right.
You know, I
Not
think
the
that's
whole
perfect.
Pay should be.
Not the whole grid, it would just be,
Okay.
yeah, this
Yeah,
is
just
hold
the-
it out.
this position is a grade.
Right,
of
Yeah.
the
and the
frets.
grid follows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, grade,
That's what I'm-
grade 1, blah, 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 blah.
Right, beginning,
Okay.
Yep,
end.
yep.
I'm
No,
just-
I wouldn't do that. I'd just say this is a grade such and such, and that way you don't have to keep revising the job descriptions every year
Right.
when you change the
Oh,
grade.
that would
That's
be
what I'm
good,
saying.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
so
you keep the grid separate.
this
Keep
is
the
a
grid
grade
separate and just
E,
update the grid.
here's a grid, when somebody comes in, you give them the job description and the current grid. That way you don't have to change these.
Yeah, we're not going to change, we shouldn't be changing the grade, because the grade all basically is cascading down
Right, the
from
grade
responsibility.
stays.
So once you put the grade on, but you're going to be changing based on the fact is that as you are looking at the website for the national, the website that says is that this is what happened last year as far as the cost of living, and with the recommendation, that's what we're going to be correcting midpoint for each of the grades and then correcting the grid. But
Right,
you don't
but
want to
you know
have
what
to
I
go
was
back
thinking?
and change every single job description because we've updated the grid. We want to keep the documents so that they can be as standalone as possible
Yeah.
without being so
So you're
intertied.
correcting one
Change
document.
this.
you're
I
not
know what you
correcting-
mean,
yeah.
but what
Right.
my view is, I'll just tell you, when someone comes and they get a copy of everything, I don't know, when everybody else's pay is on there.
You could
That's
just,
that's
could
what
just
I'm
say
thinking.
is-
It's
Maybe
not.
like,
Isn't it just
this
grades?
person gets more than,
Can't we just make one with grades?
well, the grade would be on the
The
job
grade is gonna be
description.
on the job.
But
So
no,
they're gonna look at it, go,
the
mine is
grid.
7 and that one's a, you know what I mean?
no, the
I
grid
don't-
doesn't provide personal information.
No, but it provides the positions. I mean, when you look at it, I don't know, I just thought that.
But at
that
the
might
same
be-
time is that it doesn't hurt for somebody to see as, hey, listen, if I do a good job and I go to school and I can become this other position, I'm going to be able to make more money.
That's true.
I mean, that's what I see. I mean, and I think most
I
people.
don't care, it's fine with me. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm fine with it either way. So if you want a standalone grid, that's fine. And just the grade on.
I just don't want to get into having to change the job descriptions every
Because then they'd
year.
have
Well,
to be
you're probably
re-signed.
gonna make amendments anyway to them every year.
Yeah, but what we're
Really?
saying is,
I've got-
we would, when you make a recommendation, say, next year, and it's a 3% change to midpoint, we would have to change every single job description.
Just the grid part.
Right. But
Yep.
if you have a standalone grid, then you don't have to do that.
Right, you just
I
change
really
the
don't
grid.
want to change these.
All right, well, that's, well, it's just
If I never see
idea.
another job description, I'll be happy.
Okay. While we can get you out of here, I had asked you to do some research on a salary.
Yes.
Has that been completed?
It has not, because
Okay.
they are missing that time frame.
They shouldn't be missing that time frame. That was like 2 years ago.
They are
is
missing that
missing it?
time frame, the library.
Did you
I
ask?
found them here. Yeah, I went in.
But no, they don't have, sometimes they put stuff away if it gets too old.
Well, the one that I talked with today, I don't know who she was, I'm sorry, I haven't learned everybody's name yet, but she brought me over to the area and we looked in the area to see whether or not they were there, and they were not there. And she
Okay.
says they do not have
It's
all.
been all
of them.
redone.
They don't.
Mister.
You're absolutely correct, but this time frame that this incident occurred in was a couple of years ago.
It's not the start date that I had. Maybe I had the wrong start date then.
I'm not sure what you're
No, it was
referring
2
to,
years
But I
ago.
have history of library.
It was 2 years ago.
I have to keep history of everybody, so I have an employee.
Well, no, we're looking for minutes in DVD.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll go back and, I've got
I'll,
these for that.
we'll touch
Look at
base
it
on this
after.
tomorrow. If we haven't got the research, I don't want to deal with that tonight.
Yeah, we don't have the research yet.
Okay, that's not a problem. But no, this isn't something that's missing in the last 2 months. This is a number of years ago.
It's just a little,
Two.
I think, two.
Two,
Okay.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
just barely
Select
over
board
two.
time, that's like 8 years.
I have no idea.
It feels like 8 years.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not totally done.
Good?
I think we'd like to go into executive session on a personnel matter. Oh, do you want me to make a motion?
Do we come out through this one?
Okay, Mr. Chair, I move that we go into executive session with Sally on a personnel matter, the disclosure of which at this time might be detrimental to the town and/or individual involved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to go into an executive session with Sally Brasser, Town Treasurer, on a personnel matter which the disclosure of at this time may be detrimental to the town and/or the individuals involved. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We went into executive session at 8 o'clock.
How much more do we have after
Um,
this?
Are we all good with what we're going to do with the department heads regarding the evaluations?
I liked it.
Okay, we're
Same
good.
thing we've
No, we're
always
just going to
done.
show this to them? Because they start, they
They've
do
all seen it
evaluations at
before.
March, right?
There's a nice ring to this where, you know, the employee gets a copy of this first, and then they get to review it and make their own assessment on themselves, and then the board member does the assessment on them, and then they get together and they discuss what each of them wrote and have a frank discussion. We should set a date for this as to when we want it done by.
Can we do that after we're,
Yes.
Yeah, we already made the motion
Yeah.
to go into executive session.
We're in executive session now at 8 p.m.
What I was going to say is if there wasn't much more, then we could
Eat
kick
it.
Katrina loose.
No, I'm going to tell you home.
when they told me that, I nearly choked. Why do I need new glasses? Well, my distance, my,
I know, I don't like, but I don't
Those
have.
tapes that record.
No, I can't see.
I wear granny glasses.
well, then he says I could wear contacts if I wanted to, and then just wear reading glasses. And,
And you know what? It's true.
but that's just as expensive, you know,
As you go.
yeah.
All right, we went into executive session at 8 p.m., came out at 8:32 with no action taken.
Mr. Chair?
Ms. O'Donnell,
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we establish a transition period where we pay the COBRA for the employee that we discussed, pay for the COBRA for the employee we discussed for the next 4 months to give them a chance to figure out an insurance for themselves.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded.
To establish a
that we
transition
Establish
period.
a transition period where we pay the COBRA insurance premiums for the employee we discussed for the next 4 months. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
That was fine.
The last thing that I have is back to these
Yeah.
evaluations. Is everybody good with that, or do we need to discuss it further? Do we need to set a date when we'd like to have these completed by? What do we do to move forward with this?
I think we need to set a date, because if we don't set a date, it won't get done.
Yeah.
You know, if we just hand them to the department heads and say, you know, get around to this, like the rest of us, it's going to take a while to get around to. So I think we need to establish a time for all of us.
You know, with August will be difficult. We're coming to the halfway point of July.
We only have one,
You're
yeah.
gonna give these evaluations to them first and ask them to do a self-eval?
Yes.
So they
First meeting in
could
September.
do that part of it in August?
Mhm. And do it, like Bobby said, first week in September.
First week in September, and we will hand these out in conjunction with handing out the job descriptions. We'll be able to have those quickly?
Yes.
Okay. Is everybody good with that?
I'm fine with that.
So be it.
And I'll
First
get
weekend in September.
you a copy of the,
And me too.
oh, you want one? Okay.
Copy of what?
The appointment.
appointments list and who's the liaison for whom. Next meeting is set for next Monday, the 18th. I've already let you in on a little of the fun. We'll be meeting with our new representative and hopefully talking with the lobbyists. Does anybody have anything else for
Are they
tonight?
coming down here?
I
or
won't be
phone?
here.
It will be teleconference. Mike will be here. The lobbyists will just be
I have to
teleconference.
work nights next week.
Okay. Anyone else? Hearing none? Or,
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Wait, my power bar.